the summer after I graduated from college, I had an internship at a newspaper. I was a mass communication major, which is really general, and it means that you can do lots of things. But this summer I was working as a photographer. And this is a really small town in southern Indiana, Evansville, Indiana. I'm actually in University of Evansville. And this job was a photographer, but I wasn't necessarily like an editorial staff photographer. I was working actually for the advertising department, and they hired a bunch of interns who were college students to be the editorial staff, and then I was the one photographer for this supplement that they did in the paper for the summer called Progress. And this was their way to get local businesses in the small towns around Evansville to advertise in the paper, and they would do kind of advertorial article type things about them, and they had these supplements in the paper. So I was sent on assignment to take pictures of this guy who owned a toy train store, and I had shown his toy trains, and I was trying to make them as editorial-like as possible, but really the whole purpose of this was to get these people we were featuring to advertise in the paper. Well, I also had a few assignments that were specifically for the ads that were going to be in the issue, and they weren't supposed to be editorial at all. They were just, for the ad that was going to be accompanying some of these stories. And this one time I had an assignment that I thought was going to be pretty cool. It was, they wanted an aerial photo of their factory. And I was like, well, that's cool. Like, I've never, gone up in an airplane to take pictures out the window, and I was a little bit nervous about it, and I was always a little bit intimidated by the other photographers at the newspaper because I wasn't really one of the guys. I wasn't even one of the editorial photographers. I was just kind of this intern who was kind of like a poser, who was, sort of a photographer, but really, they knew that this was just for advertising. So, I asked one of the guys who was pretty nice to me, like, what kind of lens he thought I should use, and like how far, do I need to take a really zoom lens, or should I just take it from far away, and how fast of a shutter speed should I use, because I knew we'd be going fairly fast, and we're going to be in like a little prop airplane. So I took the assignment, and I was pretty excited, and I had my equipment, and I got to this really small little shed kind of thing off the side of the airport. And Evansville's airport's not very big anyway. And I met the guy who I was going to be going up in the plane. And I realized it was just a two-person, two-seater airplane. So the pilot was over here on the right, and then me. And the pilot, of course, here I am, 21, almost turning 22, and the pilot was gorgeous. I mean, I made my heart go better, and I was like, oh gosh, not only am I like nervous about this assignment, I don't really know what I'm doing, but then I have to sit next to this guy who probably thinks that I am just really stupid and that I can't do this very well. So I was very nervous, but we got in the plane, and I was trying to be really cool and act like I was professional, and this is an assignment, like I've done this all the time, and I get in the plane, and we get up in the air, and it's just a little bit out of town. It's like this small factory, I can't even remember what it was for. And we, we're riding in this plane and just going around in circles, just like over and over, like 6 or 7 times. And I can tell maybe after the first loop that I'm not doing well. Like, I should have known, like, I get motion sick. Why don't you take a drum with me? Why don't you not volunteer to do this assignment? But I wasn't feeling well at all. I took a few photos, maybe like, just kind of leaning it like this so that I could take the photo out the window. And, I took maybe 5 or 6 frames, and I was just like, I don't feel well. And he was like, okay. He's like, so he gets in his, not a glove compartment, but whatever they have there, and it has like a barf bag, and he hands it to me. And, I'm sitting there, and we have like headsets on, because we're real close together, and I'm wearing this headset, and I can't get the bag open, and I feel like I'm going to be sick, and I put this microphone thing in my face, and I can't get it open, and I can't get it open. And finally, he takes the plane on its side, and I puke out the window. And I puke all over the farmlands, all over all the small houses in the subdivision neighborhood. And I get it in my sunglasses, and I get it in my hair. And I don't think I had any good photos, but I think the ride was pretty much over at that point. So we land, I'm completely mortified. I mean, off the charts, never been so embarrassed in my entire life. I mean, this guy is somebody that I never knew that I was going to be having a relationship with him, but I still wanted him to think I was pretty cool. And I had to make a phone call to my work and let them know that I wasn't going to be making it back to the office. and I drove home, just covered in my own vomit, and I was shaking, and the next day I get to work, and my coworkers all heard the story. I don't think they really knew what the story was, and if they had, they probably would give me a lot more of a hard time. But it had a little paper airplane that they made, and they all signed it, and they left it on my desk, and it said, "Beth, we still believe you can fly."